Hello and welcome to The Open Book. This is your host Lakeisha. Make sure you hit the like button on your way in. Also, if you would like to support the channel, you're welcome to send a super sticker, super chat, Cash App, or buy a coffee. And those links are in the description field of this video. So, we have already heard the unfortunate news that the remains found at an abandoned middle school were none other than Kada Scott. Now, since that investigation, other details are beginning to emerge, such as text messages and also the cause of death of Kada.
Health Department announced that Kada Scott died of a gunshot wound to the head. While we know how she died, there's still so many questions about why she was killed.
NBC 10's Lily Zhang live for us in East Germantown with details and a closer look at what court documents show about her final hours alive. Zizi, Lily.
Hey there, good morning to you guys. The cause of death was revealed after investigators had talked a little bit about the evidence that they've collected so far. So we're talking about phone activity, cell phone activity, surveillance video, all kind of detailing what we know so far about this case. You can see behind us, there is a growing memorial for Kada Scott. Now, we spoke with some members of the community a little earlier. They say the evidence revealed so far has raised concerns, and so many people in the community already had a lot of questions about safety.
Looking, I don't know if you can pan over there, but you'll see how dark it is. There's no monitoring. You just found a body over here, so why don't you have this entire place illuminated and have it monitored?
Some of the only light Thursday morning came from this memorial outside Ada Lewis Middle. It's in memory of Kada Scott. The 23-year-old woman's remains were found near the vacant middle school Saturday, 2 weeks after she disappeared. The ME confirmed Thursday she was shot in the head.
You have all of these areas that should be cleaned up, should have 24-hour surveillance, and they're not. And my question to elected city officials is, what are you doing to ensure the safety of all residents, not just when something like this happens?
James Bronner grew up in the area and has been following this case. Scott disappeared from her senior living facility job in Chestnut Hill on October 4th. It's the same day court documents revealed 12 calls were made between Scott and Keon King, the man now charged with murder. Text messages include one from Scott reading "Kidnap me again," with King allegedly replying "better be up too." It's followed up by Scott telling him to call her when he arrived. According to court documents, Scott's co-worker told detectives she was upset that night and said over the phone, "I can't believe you're calling me about this." This was before she allegedly walked towards a car parked outside of their job just before 10:15. Scott's phone went dead 9 minutes later.
Recovering Kada's body was not the outcome we had hoped for, but we are grateful that we were able to bring her home.
Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel addressed the case last night at a safety town hall, vowing to hold anyone involved accountable. On the night of Scott's disappearance, investigators say surveillance video shows King getting out of a stolen black Hyundai at a rec center near Ada Lewis. Not long after Scott's phone died, he leaves it there, coming back the next night with someone else, this time in a gold Camry, which has since been towed by police. The two seem to remove something heavy from the Hyundai towards where Scott's remains were found. Then, on the morning of October 7th, King goes back to the Hyundai, allegedly driving off with it. It was later set on fire. As Scott's family mourns, community members say they are with them, hoping justice is served.
This unfortunate, tragic situation, I believe, could have been avoided.
Wow, y'all, that is so sad. Okay, now Kada Scott, the woman found at an abandoned Philadelphia school after being reported missing, it has now been revealed that she was unalived by a gunshot wound to her head. And that information was confirmed by the city medical examiner's office. And that also, y'all, lets us know that this could have possibly taken place in that car when she got in, okay? Now, the news comes a day after the office ruled the cause of Kada's death a homicide, okay, leading to murder charges against the guy pictured here, Keon King, who was already charged with burning a vehicle that authorities said was used to transport Kada Scott's body. Now, previously, the medical examiner's office had not publicly stated the manner in which the homicide was committed. Kada Scott's date of death is listed as October 18th. Okay. Now, because of that, new charges have been filed against Keon King, who is 21. Now that includes murder, robbery, theft, tampering with evidence, abuse of corpse, obstruction of justice, and related offenses. He was previously charged with kidnapping and arson, among other crimes. A judge ruled King to be held in jail without bail on today, which is Thursday, which I feel that they should have, okay? Because y'all know that he had already been charged with kidnapping charges earlier this year. And because he was able to bond out, and the bond was not that high, I think it was like $200,000, and he was able to pay the $20,000 to get out. That left room for him to do this again. So I am glad that he is being held without bond. Okay. Now, Kada Scott's body was found in a shallow grave on Saturday at Ada H. Lewis Middle School in East Germantown. In court records made public Wednesday morning for arson and conspiracy charges filed against Keon King. Investigators detail cell phone evidence that they say connects King's cell phone to areas linked to Kada's disappearance and where her body was found. The document also includes information on text messages exchanged between King and Scott right before she disappeared. The records, which were obtained by CBS News Philadelphia, show Kada received a dozen, calls on the night of October 4th from a phone that traces back to Keon King. The calls began at 9:25 p.m. and continued until 10:12 p.m. This is the same period police say that Kada was arriving for work at a Chestnut Hill assisted living facility. And y'all, I'm also wondering, how did he know that she worked there? Had he previously been there, or had they been talking and he shared that information? Kada allegedly, according to these court papers, had sent a text that stated, "Kidnap me again." And Keon replied, "Better be up too," followed by plans to meet later that night. Now that I find odd too, y'all, that she would type "kidnap me again," unless that was code word for something. Okay, remember she was at work. So had this happened prior, was that a secret code? Or what does she mean by that? Now, at the same time, a co-worker sees an upset Scott, with court records alleging she's overheard on the phone saying, "I can't believe you're calling me about this." Okay. The last exchange happens at 10:09 with the words, "Call me when you hear," or CM when you hear, according to court documents. Now, Kada is seen leaving work in a dark colored car described as the suspect's vehicle, which was a 2008 Hyundai Accent. Sources also previously said that Kada was allegedly killed 20 minutes after she left work. Okay, and that goes back to what I was saying, because if it was a gunshot, he could have done that, unfortunately, when she was in the car. In court records, investigators say cell phone data shows Scott and King arrived together in Aubury Recreational Center's parking lot next to Ada H. Lewis Middle School, which is where she was found. Surveillance cameras picked up their arrival and showed the car backing into a parking spot. At 10:24, Scott's cell phone stops transmitting a signal. Okay, and then Kada Scott was reported missing on October the 5th. So I'm wondering, if they had footage of the car backing into the spot, did they see him get out or her get out? I'm wondering about that part. Investigators said 2 people exited one of the vehicles, a Toyota Camry owned by King, and walked toward the vacant middle school. Okay? Now that's interesting. The second vehicle waited by the streetlights near the rec center. Now, notice they charged him with conspiracy, which lets us know that there was at least one other person that he could have been working with or that was trying to help him cover this up. Hours later, court records alleged the 2 people returned to the Camry and motioned toward the second vehicle. Its driver turned on the vehicle's headlights and drove out of the parking lot. The 2 people are then seen removing a heavy object consistent with a human body, okay, and moving in a direction beyond the parking lot into the area where investigators said Scott's heavily decomposed remains were found in a shallow grave last Saturday. So also on camera, the 2 people, that lets us know that person, not only the other car, but that person was in the vehicle with him, okay? And they were helping to carry that body. Police say the Hyundai Accent was set on fire on October the 7th. On October the 9th, police executed a search warrant, okay, at a home in the 5500 block of Belmar Terrace and found 3 phones, 1 tablet, contractor bags, latex gloves, a hammer, and 9mm ammunition. Prosecutors say they were able to piece together King's alleged involvement by tracking his cell phone as well as picking up his movements on surveillance cameras. Y'all, they have cameras everywhere. The day after the car was torched, police made an urgent plea to the public for help in finding Kada Scott. And then Keon King declined a police interview after he turned himself in on October the 14th. Wow. So there are people on TikTok that have also been chiming in on this case. Let's watch a couple of their reactions.
So everyone has been asking the question, how did Keon King and Kada Scott know each other? So although investigators have not come out with a definitive answer to that question, they have now released more details about the moments before Kada actually left work. So court documents show that Keon and Kada started texting on September 28th. Now let's remember, Gabby is saying that at some point in time before all of this took place, Keon asked her about Kada. Basically asking her, do you know Kada? How do you know Kada? And this makes me believe that him and Kada had not been talking before that September 28th date. So I think that Keon might have seen Kada around. He ends up asking Gabby about Kada. And eventually, y'all, he approaches Kada. He gets her number. I don't know if it's in person or on social media. But the 2 did follow each other on Instagram. So on October 4th, Kada texts Keon and says, "Kidnap me again," in which Keon replies, "You better be up." So a few moments later, Kada texts Keon and says, "Call me when you're here." And this is around the last time her coworker saw her. And this is when Kada actually leaves her job and goes and meets up with Keon. Now, y'all, I strongly believe that this was premeditated. Because not long after Keon picks Kada up, I'm talking about minutes later, her phone goes dark. So the black Hyundai Accent that we now know is tied to Keon King was also seen on surveillance parked near where Kada's body was found. And y'all, we find out that the day before all of this took place, so on October 3rd, Keon had stolen his vehicle from a food delivery driver. So investigators say that on October 5th, not 1, but 2 people are seen carrying a heavy object consistent with a human body from that vehicle to where we know Kada was buried. Surveillance also shows that a 3rd person may be involved because they believe that 3rd person was driving that Toyota Camry. Now later on, we know the Hyundai Accent is taken somewhere, is dropped off, is set on fire before being towed away and crushed. So basically what investigators are saying is we don't only believe that Keon is involved, we believe that 2 more people are involved in this case. Now, in my opinion, I don't think Kada and Keon really knew each other. I think that this was a situation where he probably tried to talk to her, got her number, they started texting, and they end up linking up. She's not thinking that this is a bad person. She's just thinking, oh, this is a guy I met and I'm finna meet up with him. But I strongly believe, y'all, that Keon had these intentions the entire time. Not only that, y'all, I really want to know who else was involved in this case. Because for you to pick her up from her job on October 4th after 10 p.m., but on October 5th, you're seen on surveillance carrying a body. Whatever happened to Kada happened moments after she got into that vehicle. And y'all, seeing is that specific tip that came that led them to Kada's body, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those 3 people is the person who actually put in that tip. Now, y'all, I'm going to keep you updated as more information comes out. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts and justice for Kada Scott.
I want to thank the doctor, the hospital, everyone previously on her roster who messed up. Now a chance for her not optional. That's my queen. I want to go to space just so I could give her a star. I know she's probably tired of running through my mind. I got to get her a car. If you got any letters or mail for her, just send it to me. And she lives in my heart. She brings everything to the whole table. She's not just a snack, she's the whole label. That's not just my baby, that's the whole cradle. If your girl is all that in a bag of chips, then mine is all that in a whole potato. And so what if she's a snorer? I adore her. And when she's away off to sleep in her bed, I reread our messages and everything that said, just so I can still at least speak to her in my head. I love being with her. I'm always smiling. You should see my whole face. I want to be with her to where in old age, people always ask, you got a girl? I say, I got a soulmate. She is to me, dang. I know, right? Basically. I want to thank God for making her possible.